Thursday, November 25th, 2010. Claudia Havens. Where were you born?
Salt Lake City, Utah, Holy Cross Hospital.
And did you grow up there?
I grew up most of the time there, but when I was 14, I moved here to Colorado, and then when I was 18, I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then when I was 19, I moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then I came back home to Salt Lake.
So, what was it like moving around in all those different places?
It was very difficult. Uh, my I got lucky and I got to have three parents. I had a mom and a dad and my stepdad, who I called Dad too. And I lived with my mom and dad too until I was about 15. And Dad too was he was an entrepreneur, but unfortunately that meant that he was in a lot of businesses, and we kind of moved mostly within Utah, sometimes in Idaho, but mostly I ended up in Utah, and then about 10 years ago I moved to Colorado.
And was it difficult to keep friends and like the people you met in each place?
It's difficult for me to make friends, period, because I'm kind of not, believe it or not, I'm kind of shy. But once I make friends, then I stay friends with them forever. So I never had a lot of casual acquaintances per se.
And what were your parents like?
Um, Unfortunately, my mother was an alcoholic, and my father was a very uh, non-sociable person. And my stepfather was like a big old teddy bear, except that he couldn't ever say no. He was always trying to keep the peace. But I wasn't abused, and I wasn't hurt, or I wasn't anything. It's just very difficult growing up with someone who's an alcoholic. But I had lots of brothers and sisters, and we most all of us grew up to be pretty normal, regular adults.
Was the discipline strict?
The discipline was non-existent.
Describe yourself as a child.
Shy. I loved to read. I didn't have very many friends. But when I kind of came out of my shell, then I was pretty cocky and pretty smart-assed. Is it okay to say?
Yeah. How was high school for you?
High school was, I didn't do very well in high school because I was cocky and smart-assed. And mostly what I did in high school was ditch school. I didn't really value education very much, and I thought I knew everything, and it wasn't until later in my life that I appreciated how hard teachers work and how hard they try.
And when you ditched, like, what did you do?
I actually did nothing. I'd go hang out. I'd go drive around. I didn't do drugs or alcohol. When I was in high school, I smoked cigarettes, unfortunately. But there were a group of us, and we'd go have coffee. We'd drive over to the mountains. We didn't really do much of anything because we didn't have any money. But didn't do anything like illegal or anything. Just kind of hung out.
And so you never like got in any trouble, or what's
Uh,
one event
yeah,
that?
I never got in trouble as far as breaking the law or getting arrested or anything like that. But yes, I got in trouble because I didn't pay any attention. I didn't believe that the rules applied to me. And I know I keep saying this over and over again, but I just thought I knew everything and nobody else did.
Do you think you would describe yourself as rebellious?
Absolutely. uh, and unfortunately, I lied in order to, for whatever reason, in order to cover up or make excuses or pretend like I was something I wasn't.
Um, what did you want to be when you grew up?
After I I dropped out of high school, after I figured out that I really probably should listen to somebody, I went back to school. I graduated from high school, and then I went uh, to be. I learned how to be a dental assistant, and after that, I knew I wanted to do something medical, uh, and I wanted to teach, but I wasn't exactly sure what that was going to be.
And what is your job now?
I do medical coding. I work in a hospital. I do research and development, and I teach. I teach medical coding.
And do you like your job?
Most of the time. uh, my job is very uh, nothing changes but change itself, and it's also very stressful at times. But for the most part, yes. I've been doing it for 35 years, so
What is most rewarding about it?
about my job.
Yeah.
Um, that I continue to educate myself and that I let it go, that I cannot control everything, and mostly that I get to use my brains.
Who is most influential on your life, or who has been?
Um, I got to name two people. When I was in my early 20s, I met a gal uh, who was a little bit older than me, was married, had children, and had many life's issues. And she became my best friend, and we saw each other through marriages and divorces and teenagers and everything. And to this day, we are still best friends, even though we don't see each other. The other person is somebody named Katie. Met her when I was in my late 30s, and she became she was a confidant and an advisor. I don't really have any like movie stars or idols, or it's just real people.